Good morning, everybody. Video 44 coming at you with another video. All right. So I want to talk about D'Angelo Russell. We talked a little bit about the conversation had on the press conference where Coach JJ kind of pointed out that he had felt D'Lo had been reverting to a few things, old habits that were no good. Wanted to kind of have him in a, take a seat for Gabe Vincent. He wanted to see what Gabe looked like out there. And, in my mind, he was calling D'Lo out. I think a lot of people painted it out that way. The media painted it out that way. And with JJ being somebody from the media, he knew that they would do that. So I got a theory or just an observation about D'Angelo Russell this season. He's really been supportive of some of the underdogs on our team. That's what seems to be a consistent thing with him this year. He seems to have good rapport, playing well and looking to find Jackson Hayes on the team. I saw him celebrating a little bit with Cam Reddish when Cam was playing well, when Quincy Olivari was having his big game. He was the first person to slap hands with Quincy, and he was celebrating Quincy. I just find that it's almost like he's making a statement to me, if I'm reading in between the lines, not just in support of those guys specifically, but as a display to say, there are some guys on this team that aren't getting their just due, and maybe I feel like I'm one of those people. Now, maybe I'm reading too much into it. Maybe there's nothing to see there. But with the dynamic the Lakers have going on with their franchise, and everything that we're doing for Bron, and just the obvious pecking order of things, and how D'Lo may have felt slighted by the coaching staffs in the past in this uniform, I just feel like there's something to see there. There's something to see there. And maybe if what I'm reading into is correct, he might not like how things are being done here in LA. He may feel like people are being slighted. He may feel like there's a significant underdog story to be told on this team. I'd be curious to see if D'Angelo Russell is actually happy as a Laker right now. He opted in, obviously, but I think the opt-in was more so about the market, not giving him an opportunity to get better money elsewhere. But I don't think D'Lo really wants to be here right now. And I think that feeling might be mutual in regards to the team. Maybe he doesn't want D'Lo here right now. I don't know that JJ Redick is in love with coaching D'Lo right now. That kind of thing. I've never seen, well, that's not true, but rarely have I seen a coach be more frustrated with a player shooting a shot that gets blocked or missed or something that goes wrong on the court than JJ seemed to just be in that clip that's going viral right now, where he just slammed his chair 3 times. JJ's going to have to reel it in. I understand he's fresh off being a media member, fresh off being a player. He's self-proclaimed psycho about this game. But he really doesn't need to be crashing out over there like that on the sidelines. You're a coach now. There are going to be things that players do that anger you or frustrate you or what have you. But you got to have a strong threshold for your body language so that guys don't feel slighted by that frustration. It compounds into more problems for you that cause even more frustration. Maybe he redefines that by being the coach that's going to be demonstrative on the sidelines. Guys can change that dynamic, that understanding of what a normal coach behaves like. But for me, I just wonder if JJ's not going to lose people by not being able to control that aspect of himself this early in his young coaching career. And there's a lot of good that comes with someone being very passionate and maniacal about what they do, and there's a lot that can be bad that comes with that as well. So JJ's early on in his situation here as a Laker coach, so I don't doubt that there's a lot of learning to do. He's going to find out what works and what doesn't work for him. But, at the end of the day, when it comes to D'Lo Russell, who's had so much of a history with this organization in so many different ways that, his situation, D'Lo's situation, is a bit more sensitive. And I think D'Lo wants a little more respect than he's been given. Not too many players in the league playing today can say they've played with the people that D'Lo has played with on the basketball court. He's played with the best players this NBA has had to offer. LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, Steph Curry. He's played with the best there is. So when you consider D'Lo and the type of respect that he feels he may deserve in this league, I think that probably comes to mind when he looks in the mirror. I think that comes to mind when he looks at how people treat him, or how the market's treating him, or how much respect he may be getting from his coaches and fellow players alike. How many of y'all can say y'all played with the people I played with and held your own, started next to the people I've started next to? You know what I mean? And so I get where that might be a dynamic for which D'Lo feels slighted, feels disrespected by maybe not only the Lakers or what have you, but by the league itself. And so if I'm D'Lo Russell, I also understand that I haven't been playing that great. You know, as somebody who respects winning championships, I also understand from my perspective as a fan watching him trying to figure out whatever I am trying to figure out, that he ain't won no championships with none of those people. You know what I mean? Those championship winning people, none of them win next to you. So, like, that's also a thing that he needs to work into his equation if he's looking in the mirror saying, look who I played with. They didn't win them championships with you. And one of the reasons why that may have been the case is because they didn't get the most out of you. So, you know, there's something to be said for that too. And I think that D'Lo Russell should have just much as humility with the frustration of J.J. Redick as we would expect J.J. Redick to have as much restraint to reel it in, not to show so much frustration with D'Lo Russell. Because D'Lo Russell has a lot of better play to display to get the respect of his current coach. And he ain't seen the best from D'Lo Russell. D'Lo been letting him down. He's been letting all of us down with how he's been playing. And, you know, I heard someone say this morning that he felt like D'Lo Russell was probably playing poorly because his name's in trade rumors. And I would say D'Lo Russell has played some of his best ball during trade rumor time. When his name was at the heights of trade rumors last season, he played his best basketball in our uniform while his name was in trade rumors, trying to keep himself from being traded. So I don't know if that's very consistent with what I've seen. In fact, I think it's not in the grand scheme of things. D'Lo is a very inconsistent player who's in a very bad stretch. I think D'Lo's bad stretches can linger just like his good stretches can extend, but they never stick around for too long. And there's always some excuses about, well, this is just how it goes. Either he's going to make shots or miss shots. He's a momentum player. It's what I know. And if he's able to string together a few shots, he can blow a game wide open like few can in this league, which is why I think he's a valuable weapon. But somebody made the assertion to say that they think he needs to accept that he's a sixth man in this league. And I think for the betterment of what his piece can be as far as being valued, I think he should accept that too. Now, that doesn't mean that the Lakers should move him to the bench right now, because based on how things are going right now, that may not be our best move. But going forward, if he's going to be valued the way that I think he wants to be valued, he's going to have to have some real conversations about where he's headed in his career. Being a starting point guard may not be best for the units that you're in, but if you come off the bench or if you take a lesser role, maybe they can utilize that momentum strength that you have a little better. And so that's really what it is. D'Lo's his best when his momentum's going. He can get other people involved, but his efficiency is going to take away from the assist category when he's going 4 for 14. So for him, it's about tapping into that ability to string together threes and hit them, you know. And that's really what it comes down to. You can't, you know, you're either going to shoot the ball and make it or not. You know, it's not one of those situations where, as JJ mentioned in the press conference, I don't think there's ever been a player who went out on the court and said, I'm going to miss all my shots. But you do have to continue to shoot and keep your confidence, knowing that the work you put in should ultimately result in what you see on the floor. And I don't doubt that D'Lo has put in a lot of work over the years in his shooting. So he does trust himself, I'm sure. He's a talented shooter, but it's not translating to him being very efficient on the basketball floor right now. And that is becoming a consistency for our team. So You know, I get a little frustrated, watching him, because I think that, you know, he's a very talented shooter and none of his shots are falling. You know, it's not, I think that's what it is. And you look at other guys who are maybe not as talented as him, and they're hitting shots left and right. And it's like, you know, when we're going to mess around and trade you to a different team and all of a sudden you're going to have a 40-point game against us. And it's like, this is what we need from you right now. How do we get that out of you? You know, because we know some of your deficiencies are going to be on display. We know that the way our team is constructed showcases those deficiencies. So how can we get you to tap into that momentum talent that you have that gets you going, that makes it so that we're blowing games wide open? Because we haven't seen that in a while. And given that happens far and in between, in times that your team needs it, it's like you just pop up and play great randomly, and then the rest of the time you get this. You know, 6 assists, 10 points, 4 or 15 or whatever shooting. It's like, I don't need that from you. Nor do I need some random day when I'm not even considering nothing against some random team. You go off of 50. You know what I mean? And remind me what type of weapon you are. That doesn't help much if I can't count on that in any way. So that's where D'Lo really hurts the team. His ceiling is very high, but his floor goes very low, and he stays in his floor range for a long time. You know what I mean? 10, 12 games in a row, he's playing at his floor level. And so with that being what he's displaying, regardless of his confidence or his experience or who he's played with in the past, or, you know, how much of a good teammate he wants to be, at the end of the day, if you're not playing well, that's really what we're here to see. You play better. We really, you know, the owner's paying for your best ball. You know what I mean? And then you take into account the potential injury risk of having him on the team, because he is not necessarily the most durable guy. We lucky we have him healthy, but if he's healthy, not playing well, and only for him to get hurt again, it's like, yo, man, where's the value in the player? Where's that value at? Where do we see what it is that Genie's paying for? So that's really what it comes down for D'Lo. I respect D'Lo as a basketball player. That things never really panned out as a young player with the Lakers is not something I hold against him. And Magic Johnson moved on from him. All of that, I get it. You know, he might be slighted from that a long time ago. But at the end of the day, you know, the heightened level of what his ceiling is always going to be something that a basketball team can use. But him being your everyday point guard, starting when the inefficiencies there, when the defensive deficiencies are in place, it just doesn't make for your best option in this league at the point guard position. Starting, you know, he's just not your best option. You would be better having someone next to him who can be highly efficient defensively. You know, a rim protector like Anthony Davis, you know, that's able to swat everything away, because you got to take into account he's going to get beat off the dribble. And if you have to work that into your equation automatically, where's the best of D'Lo coming from? I respect the pass. I respect the assists. I respect getting guys involved. But for me to get 8 assists out of him, I got to also put up with the dribble penetration from the defense, the bricks, him getting targeted defensively. It's like, damn, I can't find another way to get 8 assists. You know what I mean? It's just, he's doing not enough positive things, and his deficiencies are constantly exploited in this situation. They're on display at all times. And so it just becomes a situation where you're like, yo, I would do better just rearranging this person's entire role to where I'm bringing him off the bench, looking for him to run a score up. If the score is at 8, I can put him in, and if he's hot, if he can splash some, we're going up by 16, we're going up by 20. That's kind of the role that I think D'Lo should have been in for a long time by now. You know, playing with a team that can exploit his strengths and playing with a bunch of exciting players that he can feed off of their momentum and run a score all the way up. You know, there are teams like that he would be good attached to. Not necessarily a team that literally needs him to be the starting point guard. And he's slapped next to a guy like Austin, who can't necessarily defend either, has some of the same deficiencies he has. That just makes everything bad. You know, if he was coming off that Boston bench, I hate to bring Boston up in this situation, but if he were playing behind Jaylen Brown and in that rotation with Derek White and Drew Holiday coming off the bench for that, in that rotation, looking to do nothing but shoot the three in a 3-ball system, oh man, D'Lo Russell could really be a help. And anytime he's having an off night, you just sit him down. You got a plethora of other guards that can do other things. He ain't eating away at the team. If you put him next to Luka Doncic, you know what I mean? And they have defensive players down there in that situation. He could just play the role that Klay Thompson's in right now, just shoot all day. You know, and play off of the gravity that Luka provides. And there's a lot of situations that D'Lo can really thrive in. I think of the Pelicans, if he came off, you know, playing that Hawkins role, he just has to shoot the three. Come in, shoot. If you're bricking, sit down. Get a couple lobs to Zion and B.I. and sit down. You know? But, like, we ask of him way more than he's able to give us. We need him to be that starting point guard. And that is not what he can be at a consistent rate, at a high enough level for the way our team is constructed. You're going to have frustrating nights. We're not constructed properly. And I keep saying, the Lakers really do need to address their guard situation. We got to address it. Because at this point, we should have been adjusted out of that D'Lo starting point guard thing, just like most teams would likely adjust out of that. Hey, he's not a starting point guard in this league today. He could still be a deadly player, but that is not the role you want him playing in going up against the field that's out there right now. That's the argument that I've been making here. So I want us to kind of do something there. I don't know what it is that we can do based on the parameters of our circumstances. Obviously, making trades is not the easiest thing in the world right now, to say the least. So I'm not sitting here telling everybody that we just need to trade D'Lo, and we probably would be best if we could find a good trade for him. But finding a good trade for him right now doesn't seem realistic to me, unless you want to take back something that's not very good. I hear a lot of people talking about Colin Sexton. If you're paying attention to Colin Sexton's numbers and you're paying attention to his injury history, you're probably more likely to get more out of D'Lo than you are Colin Sexton. I keep telling people that. Whatever y'all think Colin Sexton is, he ain't that right now. Now, maybe that has something to do with the role he has in Utah, because at the end of the day, in Utah, there's like 7 or 8 different guards in front of him, eating away at his minutes. But I'd be a damn fool or a damn liar if I were to tell y'all that I expect Colin Sexton to do that much better than D'Lo Russell. I don't. So, at some point in time, we need to be honest about what we're expecting out of the guys that maybe we can get for D'Lo Russell. And that's what it really comes down to. But we do need to rearrange our thinking in regards to having him as our starting point guard. Now, in a perfect world, I'll tell y'all the truth, man. In a perfect world, we would have turned Jalen Hood-Schifino into somebody who can press D'Lo for point guard minutes. I think that obviously he's far away from being that, and of course our franchise is pretty much giving up on him, more or less. But I really think that that's probably what this should have been. We should have been living and dying with Jalen Hood-Schifino. And that's another thing. And I don't want to finish the sentence saying living and dying with Jalen Hood-Schifino. That's not what I want to say. But living and dying with Jalen Hood-Schifino's development with the intention of being able to fill him in spaces where otherwise D'Lo struggled. That's what the full thought was. But that is still something I think the Lakers should be trying to do. You know, we talk about the Philadelphia 76ers and how they're not playing any of their young talent. They got a nice young bench with players that can do a lot of different things. They're not using any of them because they want to go to their old guys. Our Lakers did that last year, and granted, with Jalen Hood-Schifino, he was out for most of the season with the back injury, so the excuse is worked into the details. But that we gave up on this kid 1 half into the season, not even 1 half into the season, 1 week into the season, of his basically de facto rookie year, certain that he's never going to be what we need him to be or whatever it is that people have determined. I just think that that's still a misguided approach to the development of a player that you drafted 17th overall. Does he look, and I've made the argument that I don't think this is the right situation for him. I've made the argument that I think that he's not wired for some of the issues that the Lakers are providing. The dynamic with him, getting less minutes than some other guys, given his draft position, was maybe something that might not have rubbed him the right way or what have you. I think that, people may have heard what I had to say and maybe thought it might be a good idea to move on from him. Because I essentially make the argument that it's a good idea for us to not put so much pressure on him, or maybe he would be best elsewhere, and maybe he would be. I don't doubt he would probably be best somewhere else. In fact, I'm certain of it. But that doesn't mean that we, the Lakers, are best without developing him a point guard when we have the guard issues we have. And I could argue he might be our best bet at having a defensive guard. I just don't think we're, I think out of necessity, we're forced to do things with his contract that may not be what you wanted to do if not for in this space. But that doesn't mean that you don't develop this person with the intention of him trying to become what it is that ultimately you drafted him to become. You might be leaving a lot of meat on the bone as it pertains to the potential or the ceiling of what this kid can be for you. As I said at the beginning of the season, before the season started, I think Jalen Hood-Schifino could be a rotational player by the end of the season if we just play him every night a good 15, 20 minutes and let him work out his development mistakes that are ultimately coming as a young player. I believe he can be a rotational piece. I think 82 times of doing something will make you a hell of a lot better than what you are at the beginning. I think that's the beauty of the NBA schedule. You're literally doing something 82 times. 1, 2, 3. You know how many times you can go through the process of cycling through mistakes and learning lessons and doing something a repetitive 82 times? I think that there's a lot to be said for the ability to make a young player become what it is you want him to be if you just don't disrespect the idea of what 82 reps can truly do for any bit of production and growth. 82 times is a lot of times to do anything, man. And so for me, it's like a lot of these coaches are going to their older guys and they're not giving the young guys the reps that 82 times can provide them. You can make a bad player a decent player if you let him run a reps 82 times against high enough talent. He gonna get better if he don't get hurt. It's only one or two things that's gonna happen there. He gonna get better or he gonna get hurt. And if he's hurt, what is he? Out. So you can do the stuff you're doing anyway when you're not developing him. So it's like, for me, I think the NBA's got it backwards. Teams like the Lakers and the Sixers have got it backwards. I don't need to see Kyle Lowry. He's been doing 82 times. He's been in the league for a million years. Why the hell are you playing him? I don't need to see Gabe Vincent. He's proven that he's tired. He's run 82 about 10 times now. He's not healthy. So you're asking him to play more games? Have a bigger role because you don't trust the young guys? How the hell are you going to get to trust the young guys if you don't let them get them 82 game reps? You're worried about a rookie hitting a rookie role. That's part of the growth of getting better and getting used to the process. If you never get them started on that process, and you send them out there like we're doing with Max Christie and say, okay, now you're ready. No, the hell he's not. You never gave him the 82 that would have put him in a position to be ready. And so for me, it's a lot of backwards stuff. It's a lot of people doing things for the wrong reasons, leverage games, and it's hurting the development of the young talent in this league, and it's hurting these teams' opportunities to get the most out of the talent they have. Your scouts bring you all these young talented players, and you don't develop them. You don't allow them to get that 82 rep in, and it's just, and you look around and you find out you need what it is they do. And they just sit there and suffer. The players do in regards to not developing, and the teams do in regards to not having what they need, when it's actually right there. So for me, I think the Lakers should, even with what we've done with what we've done with his contract, the Lakers still should be intentional on calling him up sooner than later and throwing him out there to potentially develop into what it is we need him to be for this season. When your bench is lousy as ours is. You need the guy that you drafted 17th overall, who people thought just 16 months ago could potentially develop to being a nice big guard, to be out there learning how to be a nice big guard. And if you're not going to turn him into that, don't blame the kid for not being confident in the environment that you created where no one gets opportunities in his seat. Don't blame him because he's not what he needs to be. How does that work? You're the organization. You're supposed to be developing the player. Player ain't supposed to come in already made, already ready-made for you. And I think that's where the organization's got it backwards. It's your job to turn him into what you want him to turn into. Meaning not getting so frustrated with mistakes that he makes and slamming a chair into the floor 100 times, but giving him the time and effort necessary so he can learn from the mistakes, so he can turn to what it is ultimately will be his best self. For your team. And the teams that understand that are really good. OKC, Memphis, these teams develop talent very well. They're at the top of the West, or they're going to be soon. And these teams that don't, us, Philly, their record reflects that. They want to go to the old guys. They want to take the easy route because the old guys are already developed. Cool. You know what they also are? Run down. They're run down. These developed guys that you think is safe, these stupid coaches, no, they ain't no good at what they do. So they want to lean on vets because they feel like vets give them the best opportunity to look as good as they need to keep a job they probably should be fired from. Yeah, nah, not rolling. Not rolling anymore. You don't get to play a guy who's 76 years old 81 times just to keep your job. If anything, that gets you fired in my league. That gets you fired. Give the young guy who don't have no miles on his legs, who could probably run from here to Texas, 82 games to get better. And as he develops to becoming what he becomes, then we can assess you as a coach who's doing what he's supposed to do. You don't get this run Kyle Lowry, who should have retired 2 years ago, into the damn ground because he knows what he's doing. You are showing me you don't know what you're doing, and both of y'all need to get the hell out of here. So if the league was run the way I would run it, that's exactly what you would be seeing. You'd be seeing way more young players. Max Christie would not look as bad as he looks because he would have got 82 reps last year. We'd be starting the process of putting all three of those guys in the G League in good enough minutes in the regular team to be as good as they need to be for what we need them to be at the end of the season. I'm not running no Gabe Vincent. I don't give a damn how much I pay Gabe Vincent. That's made up in the production that can be provided by the rookies who are going to play as well as Gabe Vincent's being paid to play. It balances out, especially if they can play better than what Gabe Vincent is even expected to be if he were to play well, because of the upside they provide and the ceiling that they have, which is higher than Gabe's. No, I'm not going to be running with no old men. Old men going to sit down. And for the young guys who have no mileage on their legs, to go out there, be a sponge like young people are, pick up what you need to pick up as quickly as possible and develop into the player I want you to be. That's the logic. That's exactly the logic we need to be engaging in as we continue to bring on these young projects. And not taking the easy route with these vets because they know what they're doing. Knowing what they're doing doesn't translate to them being able to keep up with teams who have athletic players in their prime. All that know-how is meant to teach younger people with more capable bodies how to do that. They need to be coaches, consultants. You know what I mean? That's what they need to be doing now. Instead of trying to run an 82-game schedule, for which their body can no longer do in a lot of cases. So that's really what it is. That's the logic, man. If people are listening to me, it's going to be some changes in the NBA very soon. They're going to shift away from that. Oh, the young players don't know what they're doing. They suck. They're only going to suck because people keep allowing their reps to come far and in between. Far and in between. And you got the assessment of these coaches aligned with the perfection of how plays are run and stuff like that. When you could teach a young dog new tricks, an old dog, not so much. And that is really what it comes down to, man. Respect human evolution in sports. Please. The next crop is always better than the last crop. They're bigger, faster, stronger, and quicker. That's how that works. That is exactly how that works. That's what I want to see more of, a respect for human evolution, bro. And the anticipation of higher talent, stronger, athletic next generation talent coming in, and why it's important not to mortgage your picks away so that stuff can come into your uniform as opposed to somebody else's. It's what we talk about at least once a month, maybe more than that on this channel. So that's what I want to say, man. Teams are doing it backwards. They're thinking stupid. They need to get out of this whole vets know what the hell they're doing tip. No, that don't translate to them being more capable physically for what you need to be if you're going to run 82 damn schedules. So, yeah, man, the Lakers specifically, if they're doing what I want them to do, Jalen Hood-Schifino ain't going to be in the G League for much longer. I'm going to bring him up to the big league. Why? Because we got point guard issues. We got guard issues. Half our guards either too small to guard, too deficient to guard, in the motion, going through the motions with slumps, and all that stuff, man. I can get those reps to the young guy, man. Let Jalen Hood-Schifino show me what he can do. Put him in the pick and rolls that he was drafted to be in the first damn place. Have people allowed him to be what he's going to be? We keep talking about Jalen Hood-Schifino as it pertains to what type of player he is. I think people are moving in a way that doesn't allow for him to be himself in any of these situations. I done told y'all 166 times on this channel, Jalen Hood-Schifino is a mid-range jump shooter, pick and roll specialist. You understand what I'm saying? You put him in the pick and roll, and you let him make decisions at the top of the key, at the top of the free throw line. He makes plays off of those spaces. He's either going to shoot the mid-range jumper, for which we've seen him shoot with confidence and make. Not very consistently, but again, he's developing. But this is who he is. This is who you drafted. Whether you know it or not, this is who you drafted. He is a mid-range jump specialist. He's going to pick teams apart. He's going to find players off of the pick and roll and off of the double team. If the double team were to respect him, he's going to pick teams apart in those situations. Give him a damn pick and roll partner and run pick and pop plays for him and pick and roll plays for him and lob threat plays for him. People can't see. That's the problem. People don't identify what the hell they have. I see something in Jalen Hood-Schifino. Do you see him? No. Literally, do you see him? Not who you want him to be. Not something that tells you he's going to be special because you like a gleam in his eye or some stupid shit. Do you see the player? The player requires certain things, and if you give him them certain things, you get the most out of him. I don't think much is different in regards to D'Lo. Pick and roll, pick and pop. Player movement off of those pick and roll sequences. He will find the cutter. He'll find the lob man. He'll find the guy in the dunker spot. And he'll take the mid-range jumper if he's given too much space. Let him get enough reps to do that, and you'll see what he's supposed to be. How is it that I'm a guy who doesn't even know basketball, only watched a couple of footage of film on this guy, who knows exactly what the circumstances to put him in? Who knows what reps he ran a bunch of times that made people think he was a 17th overall pick in the league? What did you think you drafted? People want him to come in and be Iverson or something. I don't know what the hell people think this man is. They want him to come in and be Ja Morant or some stupid stuff. Man, that is not who you drafted, bro. And I'm telling you, when he gets to where he's going, where people aren't worried about doing things for the wrong reasons, in some little podunk city in America, where all they're going to be thinking about is how to play basketball, he's going to thrive in Indiana. He's going to thrive in Memphis. He's going to thrive in Sacramento. Because y'all didn't focus on what he was. Y'all trying to make him what it is that you were hoping you would find in the draft, as opposed to drafting a player and signaturing what it is that he does based on what it is that he does. You know, that's all I'm saying. This Jalen Hood-Schifino thing don't have to be as much of a failure as people make it seem. I have yet to see him be put in situations that he is good at. I've yet to see it. I haven't even heard people identify what he's good at outside of the videos that I've seen scouting the kid myself and the videos I've made in this channel myself. That's the only time I've heard anybody even talk about Jalen Hood-Schifino's potential strengths in that regard. This is who you drafted, Lakers. And if you put him in situations to do other things, then guess what you're going to find? That he can't do any of that. That's not who he is. So I just know the Jalen Hood-Schifino thing is a mistake. He really was as good as he was expected to be. He may be a bit nervous in his Laker uniform, but look at what he's dealing with in the environment. The environment is anxiety-inducing. Let's just be honest. You're playing point guard for the Lakers with bad coaching in the past. LeBron James over here, with Anthony Davis over here, with these fans over here. This is going to be an anxiety-inducing situation for any young person. And then furthermore, people are saying we expect you to be something you're not. You're not showing us that, even though we ain't put you in positions to be any of those things. You got him running at the 2-guard spot randomly last year when the score is out of whack. He struggles and then makes a mistake. You sit him for 3 weeks, send him to G League, he plays crazy great. Bring him back to your team. He has a back injury after that. He has to recover from the back injury. You bring him back in the following season. He makes a couple mistakes, anxiety-induced type mistakes, and then you give up on him. It's like, God dang, when are you going to put this kid in a position to do any of the things that he was drafted to be? Are you even paying attention to this human being? That's my thing with Jalen Hood-Schifino. That is my exact take on Jalen Hood-Schifino. I don't even think the Lakers even know who the hell he is. They know who they want him to be. They know he's not that. But to be honest, they didn't even really put him in a position to be what it is they want him to be. They just looked at what it is they did do, which was not meant for him at all. Hell, the situations they put him in were not even meant for the player they were hoping he was, that he wasn't. And then furthermore, gave up on the kid because of other mistakes that they made that required them to give up on him in order for them to have a roster spot next season, which has nothing to do with his development, nothing to do with his learning curve, and nothing to do with him being considered healing from a back injury. And now we're about to give up on the 17th overall pick, of whom we should not have picked anyway, based on who he actually is versus what it is we could have actually needed and was on the board. And because everybody is in the environment for which that mistake was made, they're neglecting to identify any of the stuff that we've been talking about for the last 10 minutes. And he gonna go somewhere like Sacramento, just like everybody else, or Memphis or something like that, and he gonna play great. They're gonna develop him 2 years from now. He gonna be good. And you know what he's gonna be doing? Hitting mid-range jumpers off of pick and roll situations, finding athletic fours, getting them lobs, finding 3-point shooters, hitting them in the corner. I already know what he's gonna do. Why? Because I did homework on him myself. I know exactly who he is. And so for me, it's like, yo, man, I was never that high on Jalen. But far be it for me to say that he's been given an opportunity to show us who Jalen actually is. I've seen more of who Jalen is in the footage leading up to this situation than I have seen him in our uniform. So what are we actually assessing? Are we assessing him in practice? How much practice footage do you have of Jalen Hood-Schifino last year? We didn't even hardly practice as a team. How do you ever develop? I'm telling you, man, the Los Angeles Lakers have been making bad decisions. Not developing people and then putting them out there and getting disappointed with what they see. I'm telling you, there's nothing wrong with these kids. There's something wrong with those minds. Ain't nothing wrong with the kids. Jalen Hood-Schifino is a perfectly fine prospect. Perfectly fine. I promise you. The upside that he had in draft day is probably the same upside he has right now. The only difference is the back. Is it going to be a recurring issue? Other than that, there's nothing, literally nothing, that made me feel any different about Jalen Hood-Schifino today as I felt on draft day. Nothing. He's still a pretty big guard. He still has some defensive tools that can be harnessed properly. More defensive upside than any guard we got on our team right now. And I don't think that Max Christie's a guard, but even so, Max Christie ain't look all that great. I think Jalen Hood-Schifino is probably going to end up being a better player than Max Christie in the long run if developed properly. I ain't seen nothing from him that makes me say, yeah, let's give up on him. In a nutshell, I think we should have rearranged his contract because of the needs of the roster and because of the cap situation. But as far as me giving up on him or thinking it's a good idea to let him leave the organization, I haven't seen anything that makes me feel that way. Nothing. I think that we've created an environment that a lot of people who are going to play well in other places are going to have a hard time with here. And we've seen the evidence of that in several basketball players that weren't even rookies. Russell Westbrook had a hard time with our situation. Malik Beasley had a hard time in our situation. Like, this is not new. We know this is a hard place to play. We know not everybody's wired to be a Laker. But when you got a 20-year-old, he ain't wired, he ain't locked into any wiring. He just needs the reps. A guy like Russell or a guy like Beasley, they've been in the league for a couple years. I don't know if I could teach them how to be comfortable in a Laker uniform. That kid, he's 20 years old. 2 seasons from now, being a Laker is going to be the easiest thing in the world for him. He ain't going to know nothing else. And he's still going to be young. I mean, like, it's the same thing I feel about Max Christie. Like, Max Christie may look bad right now. You give him 20 minutes a night, for better or freaking worse, for the next 80 games. And by the end of the season, if he isn't run down and hurt, he's going to be so much better than he is right now. You just got to play him, bro. You got to play him. $82 times is a hell of a lot of reps, bro. I'm telling y'all. 82 times is a hell of a lot of reps. If we only had 25 games to play in the season, totally different dynamic. But that there's 80 freaking 2 of them? Oh, man. That's plenty of reps. Plenty. So for me, it's like, nah, I don't like how we're moving. I don't like how Philly's moving. We talked about the young players conversation enough. This is a situation where if people don't opt out of the mentality of doing things the same way and making decisions the way they've been making them and thinking whatever thoughts they're thinking is making them lead to these decisions, we're going to continue to see more bad decisions made by people who've been making bad decisions that are going to hurt our franchise even further than they already have. I assure you, this is the path we on. I assure you that's the path we on. Rob Pelinka, I hope you're watching this video, man. Opt out of all of that thinking. Get these young players into our situation. We don't need to be relying on too many of them at once, but we also don't have to sit here and act like we only have 3 players on our bench that all suck. That is not the reality. Traore can help you. Olivari can help you. Jalen can help you, so long as they're in rotations that make sense for them, with enough players on the floor at a given moment next to them that actually do know what they're doing, so they're not relying upon one another. That is literally it. 2 young guys, 3 old guys, preferably 2 of them being Braun and AD, on the floor. And you'll get the most out of the young guys. And they'll learn how to play against higher talent with higher talent. You know, and that's a really important part of this. When you put these young guys on the floor next to other young guys, of course they're going to suck. They're all going to suck. They're relying upon each other. And then you want to walk away and assess, well, they weren't that good. Fam, they were on the floor with people who didn't know what the hell they were doing. 99% of the time, you're assessing them next to players that sucked just as bad as they do. That ain't a good way to determine whether or not a guy can play. You got to put them next to people who know what the hell they're doing, and then give them enough time in those situations to get used to it from a mental standpoint. That's what went wrong with Jalen. Put him down where the AD and Braun wants. He is nervous, does some nervous stuff, and all of a sudden people giving up saying, well, he's just a nervous player. I'm telling y'all, man, if we don't figure this out, we're going to be giving away so much more talent than we need to be giving away, man. We're going to be continuing on that same path that we were on, giving Memphis all of our best young players while they have ample of a need here with us. So much of what it is they do, we need here, and we're giving them away. Letting them go to teams that have ample depth, all kinds of depth. And our team has 3 players that we can trust on our bench. And that's the thing. If you're going to sign a situation, if you're going to sign a bunch of young guys, see it through. See it through. A big part of the problem is us not wanting to see that path through. You know what I'm saying? It ain't even a 10th of the season out the way. And we're already giving up on what it is we have, talking about, well, we can only afford to use these guys so they know what they're doing. But the guys that we're using who supposedly know what they're doing are messing up. They don't look good. It's the same thing I said about Bronny James. For all of what people talk about with Bronny James, I know he can give me more production than what I'm getting from Gabe Vincent right now. And I know Bronny James is going to get better because he's a young player who I can teach anything to. Who don't have no mileage on him. Who's probably going to run past the old guys that the other team's running. You don't think Bronny James is going to run past Kyle Lowry in a fast break situation? He's going to run past that man. Like, literally. Traore's an energy player, offensive rebounder. Put him on the 4 spot and let him go to work. He don't need. I keep telling y'all, Traore don't need to be in the G League like that. He really don't. He don't need to be in the G League like that. There's not a whole lot for him to learn in the G League. He's not a skills guy. He's an energy guy. The hell he need to do down there? All he gonna do is put himself in the best opportunity to get an offensive rebound, catch the ball, go, as it pertains to catching in the 15-foot range and then sliding to the basket for the dunk. That's who he is. Give him the ball in the dunker spot, gets 2 points. Offensive rebounds, defensive rebounds, energy plays. The hell he doing in the G League? He's not a skills guy. You can teach him how to run plays down there. You can teach him how to run plays up here. Same plays. I don't. And then we sit up here and we don't have big men. I'm out of words, I think, man. I'm like, man, look. You know, it feels like my team's on the highway to hell, y'all. I'm just being honest with you. I feel like we're on the highway to hell because it seems like people don't really understand what their roles are, what their responsibilities are. They're nervous about things not working out, and they're making it so that things don't work out because of it. They're nervous. Coach is nervous about playing players that are struggling or young players, so that are going to inevitably struggle. And for me, it's like it's the opposite. As I've already just illustrated to you guys at the beginning of the video, it's the opposite. You show me you could turn a young player into a good player. You really showed me you did your job. How the hell are you supposed to do your job if you don't ever play the young players? You turned Jalen Hood-Schifino into a good player. Now we really talking. How the hell can I judge a coach on that learning curve, on that curve, if he's not playing the players? I'm not judging you on whether or not you could turn Kyle Lowry into a better version of Kyle Lowry. He's already a Hall of Famer. If I'm Philadelphia, you already found out what he is. Turn McCain into something. And that's when you're really doing something. So I'm just tired, man. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of all of this. I don't like the mentality. I don't like the backwards way of doing things. I don't like the easy route takers. These young players gonna make me look bad because they're gonna be bumbling and fumbling. That's what they're supposed to be doing. If anything, that's a fail-safe for you, because we expect ineptitude out of young talent. We expect them to make mistakes, and we expect for you to understand that, coach. You know what I'm saying? And not think that you're gonna save your job just because you put people out there who know what they're doing who can't do it anymore. So yeah, man, that's pretty much it, man. I think, you know, we got the game coming up at 7 p.m. tonight. Lakers finally back home. Excited about that. Played them 76ers, so we're going to see a lot of Kyle Lowry. That's why all this is relevant. But if the Sixers got any damn sense, they're going to play Ricky Council. They're going to play McCain. They're going to play Bona. They're going to play, you know, Kelly Oubre, Yabusele. You know what I'm saying? And if they put those players on the floor, they give themselves a better chance to at least see people improve on their roster. That's what they need to be doing. What we need to be doing, probably calling up a bunch of G League players and asking them to play some of these roles that we got Gabe Vincent running around in. That's what we need to be doing. Because playing these guys, these older dudes, and there's no upside there. You can't get nothing for them in the trade market. They're likely getting run past by younger guys anyway. And I mean, at some point in time, you just got to know what guys run down, man. Been in the league for a million years. They're tired now. So that's my point of view, man. I've been screaming this for years. This is nothing new. If y'all follow me, you know that. This is my point of view. And, you know, like I said, the young players are going to make a lot of mistakes. It can get ugly out there. You put too many of them on the floor at the same time, you got a G League talent situation going on. It's going to be ugly. But if you put them down there with enough older guys and be as patient with them as necessary to get used to doing that, meaning ADs and your Bronze or your Embiids or what have you. You put them down there with the stars long enough, and they settle into the understanding of what their responsibilities are at a higher level, and they start getting better. They start getting better, but you got to go through the threshold of watching them be, struggle. And you can't be afraid of that. You cannot shy away from the learning curve process. When you're teaching young people how to do something, you got to go through the days where they're not going to get it. You got to go through the days where they're not going to have the mental focus. And you continue to work through it. You get through them dog days. You get through them setback days, and eventually they're going to be exactly what you want them to be. So that's really what it is, man. That's my whole point of view. I know I started this conversation talking about D-Lo, but I think that led to a conversation where it's like, because we have this deficiency with D-Lo, we just got to sit here and take it, when the reality is, if people were applying what it is we further talked about, we wouldn't have to sit here and take this crap from D-Lo, because you'd have a ready-made Jalen Hood-Schifino ready to step in and show that he's just as good, if not better than D-Lo, and got a ceiling just as high as D-Lo's ever was. That's what it is. And if he proved himself not to be that, well, at least we would have him at a higher value rate than he is right now, and we could trade him for a little more than what we can get right now. You know what I'm saying? Even if he don't pan out, at least you showed everybody he's a ready-made body who can do something. That's it. It's sports, man. And part of sports is coaching, and part of coaching is development. And if you neglect any of those things, then you don't have much of what you need to win, man. Player development, the teams that get it are winning. The teams that don't get it, sucking. That's it. Player development, man. Video 44. I thank y'all for watching. I'm out.